Awesome. So we are live. I know we've got a couple of people already on. Deborah Rose is already on. Hello, Deborah. Lovely to kind of have you here. I think Deborah was the first person on as well. So thank you, Deborah, for getting here early. Wherever whoever else is kind of joining us, let me know who you are. Let me know if you have any SEO questions as well. We're going to be diving into them today. We have a very special guest. I'm hoping not to do too much talking today because we've got an SEO expert, someone who I refer clients to in terms of like the actual implementation of SEO. And yeah, a good friend of mine as well. So, Joshua,
Hey,
lovely
Zan.
to have you on.
Thank you.
Um,
Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no worries. Tell us a little bit first and foremost, just like a brief introduction about, who you are, and what you do.
Absolutely. So Sam mentioned my name is Joshua Wiley. I'm the founder of Carolina SEO. I also I work full time as well. This day and age is very we're very much in a population in a generation where it's very common to have like a side hustle, right? So it's very common for us to, like, if you work full time or if you drive Uber part time or build websites part time or graphic design or whatnot. It's very, very common. So I grew up a military brat. So I moved all over the United States, kind of settled down in the Charlotte area. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States. Actually, Rock Hill, South Carolina, for those that are familiar with the Carolinas, is actually really, really close, right on the border of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I attended and graduated from Winthrop University. During my time at Winthrop, I've always developed site clients. Like, being a programming major, we learned how to develop websites fairly early on, freshman, sophomore year. So started developing websites for clients, and through word of mouth, it caught on and caught on and caught on. So I started getting more and more clients. So I formed Carolina SEO in 2017. And then brought on some help to assist with that. And to this day, I've worked in the past as a software developer. I've done, for any of the nerds out there, I've done a good bit of .NET development, a good bit of PHP development, a lot of WordPress development. And I went from that to I worked at in the nuclear industry. I worked at Duke Energy, actually. We did a lot of IT for them as well, which is really cool. And then now I work as a project manager for a finance company in the area. So kind of hybrid, full time. I project manager, part time. I help businesses grow. That's always been my passion. That's why I do it. Because I enjoy seeing the growth, and it's kind of instant gratification. Like, if we build a new website, the moment we launch the website, most of our clients see a pretty significant return on investment within like the first 30 days of launch. So being able to see the leads come in, like launching a new website that works and performs very, very well, being able to see the leads come in, being able to see the performance, like, it's very gratifying. So instant gratification is why I do it, in helping businesses. So that's kind of my background, and why I've gotten into computer science, software development, and digital marketing. It's kind of what I do.
Fantastic. And for the people watching, you would have noticed that we have very different accents, and must be wondering, like, wow, how on earth did this happen? So yeah, myself and Josh, we met online and kind of connected over our mutual passion for SEO and online marketing in general. And like, if there's certain clients that I get, or people who watch my YouTube channels or who take my online courses, and they ask for various services, and we've done kind of like calls together as well with clients as well, and some of my clients have become your clients, and so on and so forth. And I always say he is the only SEO company at the moment that I work with, and I do get a lot of inquiries. I do get a lot of SEO companies approaching me and saying, Sam, look, we want to work with you, we want to do a webinar with you or whatever. But it's kind of putting my reputation and name on the line as well. So I want to work with people that I personally have a good relationship with, that I trust. And so, yeah, a shout out to everybody who has joined us. Who is she? Great to have you on as well. If you've got any SEO questions, then feel free to drop them in. We're going to kind of like just be discussing SEO for small and startup businesses. And I've got a few questions for Josh to kind of like steer the ship, so to speak. But if we get some really engaging questions as well, particularly if you're like trying to rank for particular keywords, or you're just launching a site, or you're in e-commerce, I want you guys to get as much value as you can. Like Josh has got a lot of years of experience here in terms of search engine optimization, ranking your websites in Google. So do make sure this is your opportunity. Do make sure that you use us and get the most value from this. So to kick us off, Josh, 2021, what are some of like the key things that we should be thinking about with regards to SEO, whether that be some of the old practices that we still need to keep in mind, and some of the new practices as small businesses to kind of really help us to gain more visibility in the major search engines?
Absolutely. So SEO has definitely changed and evolved. Like back in the day, it was fairly, and I say back in the day, like, 15, 20 years ago, it's fairly easy to kind of manipulate search engines. Like there were a lot of tactics, like keyword stuffing. Everyone would just like stuff their websites with the keywords that they wanted to rank for. And essentially, if you blog, like 15 or 20 years ago, if you blogged, it would gain traction. It would get picked up. Nowadays, Google's algorithm, it gets smarter and smarter every year. And there are also tons of content out there, which means there's a lot of competitions. As of 2021, I think we're over 1 billion blogs written, more than 1 billion blogs. So you have to be very intentional and authoritative with what you want to rank for and what you want to write. So that said, my first tip for search engine optimization would be one, like identifying whether or not you need it. So whether or not you need it is quite simple. 99.9% time, if you're a business and you want more business or you want more clientele, then you need search engine optimization. So identify your need, decide if you want it or not. Is search engine optimization for you? So I'm pretty sure if we're all on this call, 99.9% of us, can't guarantee you 100%, but 99.9% of us probably agree that, like, hey, we want search engine optimization. We want to grow in business. We want to grow in our clientele, and we want to expand. So number two is to set goals, and probably most important, and you may hear me come back to this quite often as I'm speaking, because setting goals is the baseline for SEO. So a lot of our clients come to us and we really don't like have a set amount of goals per se. It's like, I want to rank first page of Google in the first spot. It's like, okay, why do you want to rank on the first page of Google? Why do you want to be in the first spot? Do you want more leads? Do you want more business? Do you want more brand recognition, notoriety? Do you want more app downloads? Do you want more product sales? Like, why? What's the reason that you want to work rank on the first page of Google or rank in the first spot of Google, and make it quantifiable? Like, don't just say, oh, I want like 10,000 more leads or 10,000 more clients or whatnot. Make it quantifiable. Set a quantifiable, measurable goal, and make it like even start small. Say, I want 5 new leads per month or 5 new leads per week or what have you. Whatever works for every industry is different. Whatever works for your business, and make that your first step as to why. Like in the why and setting goals is very, very important.
And
next,
just to interject there, sorry, Josh. I mean, I really like that point there in terms of setting goals for SEO, because like when it comes to ranking in Google, you want to make sure that the keywords that you're ranking for are actually helping you to achieve set goal, because you can, for example, like, I don't know if you come across this a lot of the time, but I get companies or individuals who want to rank in Google literally just for their company name, which is fairly easy to do. But then it's like, is that really going to generate the type of results that you want? Is it going to bring in clients who don't really know about you yet, kind of thing? So I definitely like that. Think about the intention behind the keywords. I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but the intent behind what someone is searching for will determine whether or not you're likely to actually achieve your end goal.
Absolutely. And point number 3 and 4 are somewhat interchangeable because, of course, you need a website. Like and I'll make this point number 3 because a website is your foundation. Like none of this is possible without a website, and it's quasi possible for like Facebook, because I know there are other platforms out there. We get clients. I mean, we get it. It's like, hey, why do I need a website? I have Facebook. You know, like your website is the foundation, is the hub for everything. Like your website, you can add your portfolios, you can add your frequently asked questions, how-tos, so on and so forth. Social media is a little harder to do that, but your website is 100% customizable. You control the code, you own it. You need a website because it will help you with my point number 4, which is to identify your keywords. So if I put emphasis on goals, the second most important item is to know what you want to rank for. And fortunately, it's fairly simple. I have a fairly simple exercise that I run through with my clients, because 9 times out of 10, surprisingly, a lot of individuals do not know what they want to rank for. And it's actually super, super easy. Everyone can do this right now, literally. Like, pretend you're your ideal client, whatever your ideal client is. Like if you're a mechanic, if it's someone with a broken car, if you're a dentist, someone with busted teeth, or maybe someone that wants cleaner teeth. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said busted teeth, but if you have busted teeth, maybe you should go to a dentist. I don't know. But if you're, no matter what you are, and I'll use the mechanic as an example, just pretend to be your ideal client. And all you have to do is say to yourself, if I'm looking for my services, what would I type? A large part of what we do is website design. So if I'm looking for my service, I put myself in my client's shoes. I'm going to go to Google and I'm literally going to type website designer. I might add near me. We'll get into long tail keywords later, but I might type website designer or website design company, website design agency. And then I look at the results and I see who shows up, what the competition is, and where I could potentially benefit or gain from showing up in the results. So to highlight on what Sam mentioned earlier, keywords is extremely, extremely important. You have to know what you want to rank for. So if everyone right now, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, no matter what it is, if you're an influencer, literally type what you're offering, search for that right now in Google, and see what comes up. See who size up your competition, like post on them a little bit, like, hey, you're my competition, I'm coming for you. That's essentially what we do as search engine optimization experts. We analyze, it's competitive research. We look up the keywords that you want to rank for, we check out the competition, we see what's working, and we make better versions of what's already out there. So if it's a website, we make a website that's killer. If it's content, we make content that'll convert 1,000 times better. If it's graphics, we make graphics that are a lot better. So knowing what you want to rank for, the intent, is super, super important. And then that's where your website comes into play. So to go back to point number 3, having a website. Your website controls essentially where you appear on Google and what you appear for. Now, I'm not going to get into like the nerdy behind the scenes, but you need to put a H1 tag here, meta description there, so on and so forth. Like there's certain best practices that we follow to make sure your website ranks appropriately. But your website essentially, with your website, you're essentially telling Google, this is what I want to rank for. These are the keywords this is this competition that I want to appear on the first page of Google with. And I keep saying first page of Google because, like, never trust anyone that can guarantee you the first spot on Google. Like, Google's algorithm is top secret. I mean, like black ops type top secret. No one knows what it is. I don't know what it is. Maybe some Google employee know, but a lot of Google employees probably don't even know it. It is top secret. We all follow best practices for search engine optimization based on what we see working. So never ever trust anyone that says I can guarantee first spot position on Google. So what we as SEO experts say, we can try to get you on the first page of Google. Like that's where you want to be, on the first page of Google. And the going saying is to remember this, like the best place to hide a dead body is on the second page of Google, because no one checks the second page of Google. So If you want to hide a dead body, put it on the second page of Google, because you don't want, we're looking to get you on in position 1 through 10. Google shows 10 search results, and we want you in position 1 through 10. That's our goal. Then from there, if you're in position 20, you're on the second or third page of Google, and no one's going to find you. So
Amazing.
your websites, your goals, your keywords, those are all crucial in your intent. You know, like, do you need SEO? Do you want SEO? Are you going to grow from it? Are you going to benefit from it?
Some great tips and advice already there. I think there's so much to delve into. I kind of want to touch on what you said about doing your competitor analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So you spoke about, like, you know, obviously figuring out what keywords are important to you, and then after that, you know, kind of seeing who is already ranking for those keywords and doing like competitor analysis. Now, for someone who is like completely new to SEO, doesn't really know a lot about what they're doing, what they should be doing, how do they assess what websites they even have a chance of competing with? Like, do you have a system or a process that you look through and you're like, okay, what's realistic and what's not?
Absolutely. So sadly, a lot of the first place results on Google, and I keep mentioning Google, there are other search engines like Yahoo, Bing, so on and so forth, but a lot of the first page positions sadly are dominated by like powerhouse companies, and that's because these companies have budgets to where they're paying a whole staff of search engine optimization experts to check daily, to optimize daily, to get them to rank and stay on the first page of Google. That doesn't mean that you should run away or be afraid, because that's where long tail keywords come into place. So if you're a company and you want to rank on Google, first, like, try to be realistic and look at the competition and try to see where you might potentially gain from being like from search engine optimization. For example, if you sell baby shoes and you Google baby shoes and you see that Walmart shows up first, Target followed by Target, and Nike, and like, let's be realistic. You know, you have to be realistic. If the powerhouses are showing up and they have thousands of backlinks, and we'll get to that later. But if they have lots of back, it's going to be ridiculously difficult to outrank your website over one of these powerhouse websites. So this is where niches come into place. So a geographic area, your location, that could be a niche. If you're a realtor, for example, if you sell houses, a keyword that you're probably interested in is homes for sale, and then your location. So if we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, homes for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina. And then to go even further, let's say homes for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina is being dominated by Zillow, Realtor.com, and all the houses.com and all the major players. You could take it further. You could say townhomes for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina, condos for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina. Most of the times, the major players, the dominators, they're not hyper focusing, niching. They're not hyper focusing on the smaller niches. You know, they're focusing like on all 50 states across the board, getting leads, so on and so forth. They're not going to they're not going to do too much in the smaller areas and hyper focus on the smaller areas. So if they're small, medium, that's where opportunity is. That's where your opportunity lies, to get in there on the long tail keywords, and dominate your local market. So if you're a realtor, you can seriously dominate your local area if you want to focus on like condos, for example, or if you're a dentist and you want to focus on like teeth whitening or dentures or caps and replacements, you can hyper focus on smaller niches, and that's really important if you're looking to get into Google. So to answer Sam's original question, make sure your intent is realistic. Search your keywords, see who comes up, see if they're like major players, major conglomerates, and if so, see where you could potentially benefit, like move in the shadows where they move where they're not. Like see if you could potentially niche or long tail your keyword to kind of take over a smaller segment of the bigger ocean that they kind of reside in.
Awesome.
Did I answer your question there, Sam?
Yeah, you did, definitely. I think a follow-up question, just for some people who are watching and might be thinking about keywords. So first and foremost, I'm gonna strip this back right to the bare bones here and say, what is a keyword, but then also what is a long tail keyword? So when you're saying we should go after long tail keywords, what do you mean by that?
Definitely. So a keyword, as I mentioned, if like if you're a mechanic, like auto shop near me, anything that you would search for on Google, essentially, we all use Google daily, whether it's on our phones or on our computer. Anything that you type into Google, that's a keyword. Google keeps search data on everything that's typed. You can look at how many times a month on average is search, what time of season is search, how many people click on it, so on and so forth. All this data is free and available to everyone. So looking up, knowing what keyword that you want to target is super important. And as Sam mentioned, like having a keyword is anything that is searchable on Google in general. So where long tail keywords come into place is you can add things to a keyword that kind of broaden or lessen your search market to a specific niche. So if I'm a mechanic, like mechanic near me or auto shop near me is a keyword, but to add additional words on the end of that would be like auto shop, Rock Hill, South Carolina, or auto machine shop, Charlotte, North Carolina, or tune up, auto shop tune ups near me, spark plug replacement near me, so on and so forth. You can, long tail keywords are things that you can add to the end of a keyword to kind of hyper focus and hyper niche on a specific search.
Awesome. And in terms of like, where do we go? Like, what process do you use to kind of do some keyword research and figure out what keywords are best for your website?
Definitely. So very first thing I do with my clients is I sit down and we perform keyword research. So every industry is different and every keyword is being searched a different amount of times. So we use Google's keyword planner. So if you're a real estate agent and someone's saying, someone comes to me and say, hey, I'm looking to grow online and get some leads by ranking on for real estate agents near me or homes for sale near me. The first thing we do is sit down and we look at how many times homes for sale near me is being searched. So if homes for sale near me is being searched 1,000 times a month, then we know that there's opportunity and potential for that client to target that keyword and to rank for that keyword. Then once you rank for that keyword, of course, there's certain metrics. If you're on the first page for homes for sale near me, then we use like percentages and formulas to figure out how much traffic you might gain. So if you're on like in the first position for homes for sale near me, for example, you may be getting 40% of the clicks that come from, and if it's 1,000 searches a month, that's 400. That's 400 clicks per month, 400 sessions per month is going from Google to your website. So
awesome. And in terms of like keyword placement now as well, I'm asking all the questions here on behalf of all of my viewership. So if you do have a question, then please do drop it in the chat as well. This is the time to ask before Josh and I jump off. Obviously, I'll be available to answer questions afterwards as well for those watching after the fact in the comments section. But in terms of like keyword placement, once you have your keywords, what do you then do with them in terms of placing them specifically on certain web pages?
absolutely. So what Sam is referring to is on-page SEO. So there are certain practices we follow to help Google index and rank a site. So with on-page SEO, keywords that you're ranking for, we're making sure they appear in your H1 tags. If anyone's familiar with HTML, they know what I'm referring to. So we make sure they appear in your H1 tags, your H2 tags, your meta descriptions, your title tags, and then your local citations as well. That's a very important factor. Local citations and backlinks, which we can touch on if we have time, but making sure that your on-page SEO is relevantly contains those keywords and not too much either, because Google is really smart. Like Google knows if you're just stuffing that keyword on your website a bunch of times just to try to rank, you actually get penalized for it. So it's definitely not recommended, but just natural text and making sure that the keyword appears in the proper titles on the appropriate pages. So for example, we follow a practice of one H1 title per page. And then we have subtitles. loan keywords in, and it all depends on what you're looking to rank for and whatnot. So to answer Sam's question, the on-page optimization, we follow a series of best practices to place that keyword not only on your website, but on your other citations as well. So to make sure Facebook has your keywords, to make sure Yelp and Yellow Pages have your keywords, and so on and so forth. So.
Awesome. And in terms of okay, so I'm going to build a scenario here. So let's say there's someone watching who has kind of done a lot of the stuff we've spoken about already. So they've done their keyword research. They know what terms people are kind of searching for. And there's a particular keyword that they're trying to rank for in Google, but they're just not appearing. They're not showing up. What are some of the kind of tips, or what are some of the things that they could potentially look into to try and improve their rankings?
Definitely. There are site audit tools out there. My favorite one is Ahrefs. It's spelled Ahrefs. That's what I use it daily. Ahrefs has a site audit tool that you can type your website URL into, and it'll crawl your website, and it will, to a degree, crawl your website similar to how Google sees your website, and it'll give you a list of optimizations that you can make right off the bat to make your website more crawler friendly or better. There are also free tools such as Google Search Console that you can set up, and Google Search Console will essentially tell you how people are getting to your current website today. So it'll tell you the specific search queries that people are typing, how often they type it, and in like monthly. It'll show you the pattern and trends of how people are getting to your website, specifically by what they search. And personally, I like to use that in conjunction with Google Analytics, so I can see, one, what people type to get to our website, and then two, once they get to our website, what did they click on, what were they interested in. So then it allows us to hyper focus on those keywords as well. So I would recommend, like, if you have a website and you've been trying to rank for a while and haven't had any traction, I would definitely recommend a site audit. And I'll take a look back. So I kind of dabbed on backlinks a little earlier, but backlinks are crucial. They are absolutely essential to ranking online. And for those of you that don't know what a backlink is just a simple link from one website to another. So like if I have my website and I link to Sam's website, that's considered a backlink. So Google awards sites that has a lot of backlinks, because backlinks equals relevancy. Like if your website wasn't too relevant, then people would not bother backlinking to it. So naturally, the more backlinks you have, the better your ranking from appropriate sources. Now, there are bad sources to have backlinks from, and then I'm not going to go into that on this particular call. But for those that don't know what backlinks are, the analogy that I like to use is like being friends with someone, like a celebrity. For example, like if I know Will Smith, and Will Smith says he knows me, like that's very credible. Will Smith is a credible individual. For him to say, "Hey, I know Josh Wiley," that gives me a lot of cool points. So the more relevant the website that you have a backlink from, the better. If I get a backlink from New York Times or Forbes, Google's going to say, "Hey, that guy is the real deal." If he has a backlink from Forbes.com or New York Times, like he must be the real deal. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother giving him a backlink. So same thing. Like if you have like someone that is not too popular, maybe you don't know, if they give you a backlink, the backlink still helps, but it's not as credible as having a backlink from a authoritative website. So to keep it simple, a backlink is essentially a link from any website, from one website to another. But the more authoritative the website, the more credible you'll be, and the higher normally the higher you'll rank on Google.
Awesome. So I've only got a few questions left. I know I'm conscious we've been on for half an hour now, and I'm not seeing any questions coming in. I'm hoping that's because everyone's kind of like absorbing the information and writing it all down. But like, since we're on the topic of backlinks, I've only got a couple more things I wanted to ask. And well, before I even ask them, I kind of want to mention the fact that I've got Josh's links in the description as well. So if you do need specific help on search engine optimization, make sure you hit him up on social media. All of these links are in the description, link to his website, link to LinkedIn, his Instagram profile. So he's definitely the guy to speak to when it comes to specifically SEO, and we're going to have him on again as well to speak about Google Ads at some point. So yeah, make sure you go and reach out to him. But just as we're on the topic of backlinks, because a lot of people watching who watch my channel are kind of like doing their marketing DIY, do it yourself marketing. So in terms of like backlinks to a new, let's say someone has just set up a Shopify store or something like that, and they're selling these products and they don't have high authority yet because the website is new, it doesn't have any links. Do you have kind of like any advice or tips in terms of how a new site like that could potentially prospect for backlink opportunities?
Yep. My number one recommendation for that would be to reach out. Don't be shy and don't be afraid of rejection, because blindly reaching out to people, you're gonna get rejected quite often. As Sam mentioned in the beginning of this call, my accent is obviously different from Sam's, but it's like how do we meet? Is like how do we meet one another? I reach out. So as you know, with anything in today's day, like it's a continuous SEO is a continuous learning exercise. As I watch videos and courses online all the time. And Sam, as I don't know if how many of your followers know, Sam is a LinkedIn a LinkedIn author. He creates classes for Microsoft. And I've watched several of Sam's SEO classes, and I blindly reach out. Hey Sam, I love your classes, I love your content, and he responded. Has everyone responded that I've done that for? Absolutely not. But Sam was one of the ones that responded, and we built a great connection and relationship as a result. So my first and number one tips for building backlinks, especially if you're a new site, don't be shy and don't be afraid of rejection. If you see an industry it's similar to yours, or someone that you could benefit from, reach out. Like send a message, send a cold message, give them a call, say, hey, my name is Joe Smith, and I am looking to acquire, or I'm interested in your business. I would love to write a blog for you. Guest blogging is the very, very popular way to get backlinks. We've actually done that. We've written a blog and then reach out to people like, hey, I've written a blog. I was wondering if you'd be interested in posting it on your site. And then when that happens, you get a backlink back to your site. So guest blogging is a very, very popular tactic. Knowledge roundups, we've done that before as well, to where you reach out to like subject matter experts in the area, and then ask them a question like, what are your top 3 tips for website design? And have them write a paragraph, and then compile it all together, make it into a blog, and have them add their backlink, add your backlink into it, and bam, you have a backlink from 5 different sources. There are a lot of tactics. You can kind of Google backlinking tactics, but my number one recommendation or tip would be to not be shy and don't be afraid of rejection. Reach out. I mean, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, LinkedIn. Like, reach out. You're going to get rejected. Some people are going to ignore you, but for the ones that don't, they can potentially turn into a great relationship like this one. So reach out. Do not use link farms. So it's very, very easy and persuasive to get talked into using link farms, and I've seen it done. It's a very, very nasty tactic. I've seen it work. I've seen it penalized more than I've seen it work, sadly, but you will get and can get penalized for using link farms. And for those of you that don't know, link farms are people that are selling backlinks. Never purchase a backlink. Everything we do is authentic. So we take pride in like knowing that all of our services are authentic and we're not using like link farms or anything like that. So try to stay away from link farms. Once Google blacklists you, it is ridiculously hard to get on a good rapport with Google again. And essentially what I mean by blacklist, if you were ranking in the number 5 spot for a keyword and Google finds out you're using link farms, you're on page like 30 something out. They blacklist you. You don't rank again. Essentially, they penalize you for taking shortcuts. So reach out. Don't be shy. Reach out to me if there are any content creators, graphic designers, website design. I think Sam mentioned that my information was in the chat. Like, reach out to me. I'll be happy to look at your blog and reply and even have a conversation, talk shop. I'm very interactive. I like to answer questions. I like to be helpful as well. That's why I started, is because I like to help business. So anyone that needs any questions answered or interested in the blog or topic or whatnot, feel free to reach out. And that's my strategy for backlinks and recommendations.
Awesome. Some great stuff there. We've only got a couple of questions and then we can more or less wrap up. We got Free Streets Ceramics who is saying, hi guys, on backlinks, do I need an okay from the other website? So you kind of covered that already in terms of like outreach. And I agree with what you were saying as well. Be authentic with your outreach and just figure out who is in your niche. You don't have to get a backlink from your direct competitors, but from people who have the attention of your target customers, because what's important as well is the relevancy of that link. Getting a link from a really big website is one thing, but getting a link from a website that is actually related to either the products you're selling or the services that you are providing is sometimes even more valuable. Exactly. So don't even, don't try and reach out to the biggest person ever. I mean, you can, but there's also, like Josh was saying, industry influencers, subject matter experts who might have a humble humble following that you could potentially reach out to. Did you have anything else to say on this question, or?
Thank you for emphasizing the relevancy. That's very important. Making sure the backlinks that you do acquire in your outreach are relevant to your website. That's extremely helpful as well. So awesome. I hope we answered your question 3, ceramics.
And we've got Shane Clarence who is saying, hey, how do you actually get links? Authoritative sites are the way to go, I understand, but they're not easy to get. How do you start with a new site when you have a new site? So again, we kind of covered that already. What Josh was saying was outreach is a great way. Also, not being afraid to, send someone a message on LinkedIn and build up a relationship. If you can build genuine relationships with people, or with companies, so on and so forth, then that can be great as well. Content marketing, Josh mentioned, writing articles and sending it to related websites, related blogs and stuff like that can be a great way. And there are actually, if you go to Google and you search for your industry and or if you search for your industry and guest posts or something like that, or you search for, if there's a big company or a big website that you want to be featured in, go to their actual site, scroll all the way to the bottom, and in the footer you might see where they actually have opportunities for you to guest post, where they have guest article submissions and stuff like that. So absolutely, that can actually be an opportunity.
Absolutely. Right for Us, that's a very common page for a lot of websites to have. They have a Right for Us page. So if you search your industry, then include Right for Us, then you might find a lot of opportunities to potentially write a blog for them. And in a blog, of course, the most important part is linking back to your website. Write a blog for them, put your link in a blog, send it to them, say, hey, I wrote this blog, are you interested? And they usually have a set of criteria. Like in the Right for Us page, it's like you have to write this, that, and the third. This is our style, so on and so forth. Write a blog, send it to them. If they approve it, they post it, and you get a link back to your website. But to broaden the question, so search engine optimization is all about like client growth and business growth. And there are a lot of other factors that influence that outside of just like ranking on Google and whatnot. There are like reviews, in like email marketing, sales funnel, content relation, CRMs, content management systems, so on and so forth. So if anyone has questions in general at all, about growing, or any tips about growing in clientele, because it's essentially it all falls under growing business, becoming a successful business. So search engine optimization is one part of that. But we focus on the holistic approach of growing business and gaining more leads, whether it's conversion rate optimization, which sometimes a lot of people aren't familiar with that. That's more kind of metric and data driven. But to broaden the questions, if anyone has any questions in general or how to get started, or maybe some pro tips, feel free to ask those as well.
Yeah. And also make sure you hit Joshua up as well. Like I said, all of his links are in the description. So if you have any specific needs, I know there's a few people actually who've messaged me recently about SEO, and I'm kind of literally just doing email introductions to Joshua. So yeah, do feel free to kind of hit him up on his website. Deluded Guna says, solid stuff, broski. Great to see Deluded Guna on here. He has an incredible channel on Arsenal Football Club, which is my team as well. So yeah, thank you for stopping by, Deluded. We've got Cooking with Class Uzis. What about reciprocal links? Someone asks to include a blog on your site. How well does Google rank when you then ask them to link back to you from their site? That's one that we get our head around. Let me say that again. Someone asks to include a blog on your site. How well does Google rank when you then ask them to link back to you from their site? So I think what she's saying is, or what they're saying is, if it's reciprocal. So Josh, say I reach out to Josh and I'm like, Josh, can you post this blog article on your site? And then Josh says, okay, cool. Can you post my one on my site? So we're kind of doing a cross promotion.
Gotcha. So on that, I just want to emphasize relevancy. So in all of your practices, whether it's outreach or SEO, like I want to emphasize doing things for a purpose. So try not to do things just for the purpose of getting a link. Like if you're reaching out to a platform and you want a blog on their site, reach out to that platform because they're getting a lot of traffic and people are going to read that blog. And that linking back to your site, you're going to get traffic back to your site. So try to avoid anyone that's going to say, hey, if you link to me, I'll link back to you. Hey, if you follow me, I'll follow you back. Which I do follow back if anyone follows. I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if that's relevant nowadays. I probably don't use social media as much as I should. I'm trying to change that. But make sure it's with the purpose. Make sure you try to avoid like, hey, if you link to me, I'll link to you. I'll follow back. Like make sure if you're linking to their content is genuine, I can benefit from this content by some of their traffic. Same thing if you're linking back to them, make sure that link is relevant to your viewers and your readers. Because if people are on your website and they're reading and then they see a link to a website that has nothing to do with, like what they're reading or it can't benefit them, then, you might get what's called a bounce to where, like your content isn't as relevant because it's kind of not related. So avoid backlinks just for the heck of getting a backlink. Make sure you're reaching out with a purpose and that is relevant. And just to engage with the audience a little bit, how many different types of businesses do we have out there? If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, if everyone could chat their business industry, business name, shout out to businesses really quick. If everyone could comment their business name and industry in the chat really quick, that'd be awesome.
A little bit of self promo as well for them.
Yep.
I agree with what you're saying. We've got a question coming from Banwo. I'm really hoping I pronounced that right. Kindly touch on high, medium, and low keywords.
Referring to price.
I'm assuming he's talking about volume,
competition, or
so. I mean, there's two ways we can go about this. We can go about it in terms of the competitiveness, how competitive it is, or we can also talk about search volume, I guess.
And then from a cost per click, yeah, there are three categories of keywords normally. Competitive competition, which is usually a high, medium, and low competition keyword, which you might be referring to there. Sam mentioned there's also volume. So a keyword have low search volume, but could be extremely competitive because it's very, very valuable. For example, for some reason, HVAC, like HVAC companies, HVAC repair, like those are very, very costly keywords because I think the ROI for fixing or replacing the HVAC unit is pretty high. So HVAC repair might only get searched like 50 times a month in your area, but the competition is extremely high for that. And then lastly, you have costs. Usually there's cost between competition, or usually there's a correlation between competition and cost. And we could get into that on another call, but essentially cost is what you're bidding on to rank for that keyword. If you're using AdWords, you're actually bidding to rank in the ad space for that keyword. But to touch on high, medium, and low, so we have high, medium, and low competition keywords. And Google will tell you what that competition, there are a lot of tools that tell you what the level of competition is for that keyword. And then you have search volume for how often it's getting searched. So if you do keyword research and you see a keyword is being searched 10,000 times a month, but has high competition, don't be afraid of the don't ever be afraid of the high competition, especially if it has high search volume, because that just means, you know, you could take your slice of it. If you can get 10%, if you can get 10% of 10,000, then that's 1,000 visits to your website, or even 1% at 100 visits. So never be afraid never be afraid of high competition keywords, because you can always take your bite out of it. So.
And Banwo's just confirmed there. He said, yeah, he's talking about competition. And I know you mentioned Hrefs as well as a website you use for site audit. I've got a video on Uber Suggest.
Nice.
I'm not sure if have you used Neil
I'm
Patel's?
a huge fan of Neil Patel. I've used Uber Suggest. Actually use it as well. Yeah, huge, very, very valuable tool. And very cost effective as well. Like they like from a price to proficiency like ratio, like for what you get for the price, is a very, very powerful tool.
And you can start using it free as well. Obviously, it limits you in terms of what you can actually utilize, but it gives you a good understanding of what you could potentially achieve, and it shows you. Well, I use Uber Suggest, but I also use a platform called Longtail Pro. Have you used Longtail Pro, Josh?
Yeah,
so Longtail Pro, I've got a video on it, I believe, and I've got another video coming out soon on another company who have a tool basically that does website audits as well. So for you guys who are watching, stay tuned for when I put that video out. But you can use these tools to kind of figure out how competitive a keyword is. They normally have, like, each tool will say it differently: keyword competitiveness or keyword difficulty or something like that. And it just kind of shows you it gives you an estimate of how difficult it would be to rank for a particular keyword. So Cooking with Class is saying they run a cooking school and cooking classes and culinary tours.
Nice, really cool. Thank you for joining, and nice to meet you. That's really cool, cooking and culinary tools. I have to check out your website out. That's I've been, during the pandemic, I've been doing a lot more cooking. So I have to definitely spice that up. So yeah, definitely reach out and share your link there. I'm interested in seeing your content there.
And then we've got Rich Dad. That sounds great. I wish I had a rich dad. Says great guys.
There's a blog I think called Rich Dad or Rich Wallet or something, Rich Dad Wallet or something like that.
Yeah, and then the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you read the book?
Yeah. I started it. I didn't finish it. I need to finish it. I heard it was
a really good book. And then we've got Free Tree Somatics on handmade exclusive somatics. There's a lot of S's there, so apologies if I if I messed that up. And then Banwo is saying, great content, bro. Awesome. So yeah, I think we've covered all of the questions, and it's great having you on, Josh. You know, again, like I said, all of your links are going to be in the description. We've covered a lot of ground here, but lastly, can you just tell us where we can find you, what services you offer, and yeah, maybe if you even have any special deals or offers or anything for people who are watching this stream.
Absolutely. So the company name is Carolina SEO. And I think it's in the description there. My LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is the easiest way to get in touch with me. I believe that's in the description as well. I'm a little new to social media, so I'm an extroverted person. I will talk your head off if you ever get on a call with me or meet me in person, but I'm kind of an introvert when it comes to posting, and I'm trying to change that. So if you guys can help me out on the social media front, Facebook and LinkedIn, that'd be awesome. So I'm responding very heavily on both of those platforms. Yep, and that's the company website. If you're interested in any services, feel free to reach out there, and I'll be happy. We have a free initial consultation. For anyone that joins, just mention that you spoke to me on this call. We'll be happy to work something out to help everyone out. If I'm helping others, I'm happy, and I tell the same thing to my clients. It's like, if you're winning, the relationship is a win-win. If you're winning, I'm winning. If you're not seeing our return on investment, then we're not doing something right. So all of our clients, like, if they don't receive a return on investment, they're not our clients, essentially. So everything that we do is an investment, not an expense. So if you invest, you'll definitely get in return. And I think Fantasia is. I think we missed a question. I think you're on mute. I think you're on mute, Sam. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think you're on mute. If you can hear me.
Oh,
there you are. Yep.
Okay, great. So my mouth was moving, but no one could hear me. Yeah, so Fantasia, you might have to ask that question again if you're still on, because sometimes YouTube block certain comments or questions, but I don't see it anywhere. So yeah, if you're still on, please do ask it again. But yeah, like Josh was saying, yeah, please do visit his website. Let him know you came from this stream, and yeah, hopefully he will give you a generous deal. Like I said, I just work with Josh because I know he is great at what he does. Like, if there's no financial, you know, I don't even know what the word is, but intention in terms of, like, I just know his company can provide a great service.
Genuine.
Yes. And I love genuine people as well. I feel like we're similar in a lot of ways. Caribbean Global Destination is tuned in. Great to have you on. Okay, so Fantasia, how can I remove an old website from Google? It's turned off and I have deleted it from Google Console. I'm trying to rank my new website in Google with all the new SEO, but my old website is showing high.
You've already turned it off in Google. Is it a similar industry? Could you potentially 301 or I'm sorry, it wouldn't even be would it be 301 redirect or 302 if you turn it off already?
Oh, it's already turned off. If it's showing in Google, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
I would say, is it the same domain? If it's a different domain, then you might be best. Okay, so she's saying it's the same name.
Yeah, I want to take a look at that one and see what's going on, because it could be a matter of like the redirect, or it could be in Search Console. If you already turned it off in Search Console and created a Search Console for the new site, you should be able to request what's called a reindex on the new site and have Google index your new site. So yeah, there's something definitely going on there. If you want to send me like on LinkedIn or whatnot, if you want to send me your information, I'll be happy to kind of take a look and maybe see what could potentially be going on there. But in that particular case, it could be a matter of redirect. It could be something in Search Console or something where Google is grandfathered in. Oh, wow. We have someone from Egypt.
From Egypt. Asma from Egypt. Yeah, no, I agree. Fantasia. If you, like I said, Joshua's links are in the description. So feel free to reach out to him on LinkedIn or whichever platform you are on. It is a strange one. It might also be, sometimes Google takes a while as well to make changes to their systems. So you might still be ranking for something, but then over time, it changes to your new website as well. But
yeah, you see that a lot with CDNs. Like if someone's using a caching tool or CDNs and whatnot, and they're like cache forever. So
yeah, it is a strange one though. Okay, this is going to be the last question because we're coming up to the hour now. So Asma is saying to change the rank from Google. Example, when I search about asthma, SMS, person portfolio, I found my website, but want to change it to summarize books.
Sounds like is that
trying to break down this question.
Yeah.
How to change the rank from Google. When I search about asthma, SMS, person portfolio, I found I can't figure out what that question means. I'm so sorry, Asma. Unless you've got a hook around what it's trying to say. If you can maybe reword that question, but for now, we'll move on. Actually, I mentioned earlier that we are rebranding in terms of Google. What is the best practice for making sure that we don't look rank? We are becoming cook and with class experiences. So that's a good one. Yep. I think she meant lose rank.
Yep.
Or he meant lose rank.
Yeah, if you're rebranding, make sure the pages that you're currently ranking for, if the URL is changing, make sure you do your proper redirects to the URL. And if possible, like there are like canonical URLs and relational URLs that you could use as well. Just make sure you're properly redirecting to the correct page. And then in Search Console, you can tell Google like, hey, this is the new page for my website as well. So there are certain practices to follow to make sure that Google knows, like, hey, to transfer your authority from one page or another so that you don't lose the rank, because it's common, sadly, that you redesign a website and your URL change, and if you don't do it right, you lose your position. So make sure you're properly redirecting and using the appropriate link tags when if you're changing the URL. If you're not changing the URL, make sure your on-site optimizations are similar.
Awesome. I haven't even got anything to add there. As you guys can see, some great advice, great tips from Joshua from carolinasco.com. Make sure you go and check his website out, check the description as well if you have any questions for him specifically. If you're watching this after the fact and you didn't catch us live, then you can still leave your comments as well, and I'll do my best to kind of get back to you and answer that as well. Joshua, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm still working on an accent so I can sound.
No, your accent is cool, man. I think it's a good change. It's a good change from they're always hearing my accent, so it's a good change for
awesome.
everyone.
Hey, Sam, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me on. And to the guests, anytime, I'm very social. Anytime you have any questions or any way that I can help or assist, please reach out. I love to talk. I love talking shop. So
fantastic. And as always, I've always got the formula in these videos, as you guys know. If you haven't downloaded that yet, link to that is in the description as well. That's the formula to generating leads and sales online. So make sure you go and grab your copy. And for those of you who are not following us on Instagram, Joshua's Instagram's in the description. What's your Instagram again, Joshua?
So I have my personal page and my Carolina SEO page. Both are relatively new in terms of being built. So at Josh_Wiley is my Instagram. I believe that's at Joshua_Wiley is my Instagram, and then from there you can see a link to Carolina SEO CLT. So at Carolina SEO CLT and at
Carolina
Joshua
SEO CLT.
Yep, and at Joshua_Wiley. So
did I get that right? Did I get that right?
You got it. Perfect. Bam. You're the man.
Awesome.
Got it on the first time.
I was worried that I was going to get something wrong there. Okay, great.
Nope, that's perfect.
Perfect. So make sure you're following us all on Instagram. That's Joshua's personal That's his SEO company on Instagram, and obviously at Day Tips. For those of you who want to know when I'm going live, I normally promote it on my Instagram as well. But sometimes I do just impromptu lives as well on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed, click that bell notification button, download the formula, go and follow Joshua with the links in the description. And also make sure you have a fantastic weekend. And yeah, thank you for joining us, Josh. We'll see you all soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me. Take care.